Hello, and welcome to the HPTV Podcast, the podcast where we talk about all things Harry Potter on HBO. We are early, and we are rocking. I'm Mitchell, here with Jamie and Steven. You can find us on all social media at HPTV Podcast or email us at hptvpodcast@gmail.com. I get that right? You guys look doubtful.
No, I think that was great.
Nailed it.
On the money.
Today we're going to give you the normal news and notes updates, and then we're going to discuss the Harry Potter and the Philosopher, Sorcerer's Stone audiobook full cast edition, which has recently come out, and we've been listening. But first, there's no major news updates. We did get an update that a fake update was fake, and that was that there was going to be a narrator. There was someone cast, and now people are debating whether he's actually even in the show or not. But essentially a guy who was probably in there for some small bit part. People were like, "Ooh, he's going to be a narrator." And we were thinking, how would that change the perception of the show? Turns out it's not even true. But, you know,
why do people think that? He narrates other stuff, right? Is that why they thought he'd be a narrator? He's a narrator of something else? I don't remember.
I don't know. His name was
just
Tom.
Come up with the craziest crap and run with it.
His name was Tom.
Classic narrator name.
It.
Well, I don't know what led to it, but I will say a lot of those little things, like it came from one of the sources where a lot of this random little leak casting has been true, because if you think about it, there are still names that are going to pop up where they're like, well, there was no reason for us to tell you who Madam Pince is, although I think they have told us who Madam Pince is. Anyway, no other huge news. We've seen a bunch of fake fan stuff start to emerge, some fan art, some fan trailers with Sora and the AI edition. I haven't seen anything that's like a full-on scene with the new actors, but I've certainly seen a lot of Harry Potter stuff start popping up. I think the one worth discussing is the main logo, because that typeface is actually just a slight adjustment from what was on the books. So have you guys seen any fan-made posters that you're impressed with? Do you want to see a change in the logo?
I saw one. Oh, I can't remember what the logo was, but I did see like a series someone did of like the actors in character, which was clearly like half, AI manipulated. But I kind of like the style of them, but I can't really remember what the logo was.
I saw one pretty bad one that now I feel like I should show, but that was the only one. And then you're saying you saw some more pop up, and I'd seen some of the fan trailers and everything. It always cracks me up, not on the Facebook, because you should never take anything on Facebook seriously anymore. But when a trailer pops up and gains traction on Instagram or TikTok, and it's a trailer for like a movie that doesn't even have a sequel filming. Like, people have no sense of whether something is actually being like the sequel to the Italian Job. They're like, whoa, did you see this trailer for the Brazilian Job? No, it's not real. Okay.
These ones I've seen a lot.
Oh yeah. I mean, some of them are pretty cool, and it's always exciting. Oh, that one's crazy. To see just what people come up with and everything, but I don't know. You can usually tell that it's just lower quality, and then I don't know. It's gonna be different from that, so it's kind of like let them do what they want. And honestly, when it comes to stuff like the logo, I don't know that I care that much. I care much more about like the content of the show, and if they have the story arcs are as powerful as they should be and everything.
Well, this one has been circulated for a long time. This is great if you're listening to the podcast.
Yeah, it has like a lightning bolt in the middle of the of Potter.
I think because the vibes, especially the bottom of the P being a lightning bolt, I think that there's no way they're going to change that out. There's no way they're going to get rid of that.
I think there's certain things I don't mind like carrying through to keep kind of the Harry Potter logo signature kind of thing. So like if they just take the book covers, although it's different, each country has different covers and different kind of Harry Potter logos.
But ours are the best. Obviously.
Ours are the best. I mean, USA.
Obviously.
I think like if they took that, carried that through, or they did something really similar to the movies, I don't mind that. There's certain things that like I get staying within like the wizarding world realm, because merch and all that, like it is a business at the end of the day. And so I like, and Hogwarts, a lot of people have talked about the look of Hogwarts. I don't mind if they don't completely change the look of Hogwarts. I more care that they add more to Hogwarts. Like they make it more interesting on the interior and things like that. Like we see more magic within the school. So at the end of the day, I'd rather have those things than trying to keep the looks of other things in the movies, like character looks and costuming and things like that. Like again, which are going to overlap a little bit, but I want it to be its own thing.
The castle could just have a different vibe. That could be Nice and refreshing. So here's a question that someone posed on Reddit. It's between the logo, Hedwig's theme, and the castle. What would you most want to change? And what would you most be okay with being the exact same?
I think Hedwig's theme. I
think that has to. That's
I
like
love
iconic,
Hedwig's
yeah.
theme, but I think it's iconic to the movies, and that should be allowed to stay as a movie thing. And I think a big signature of this is going to be its own sound.
I think they're going to weave it in at least somewhat, but yeah, they need to have the sound. Like I told you guys that I like the sound from Cursed Child. They use kind of this ethereal sound and this whooshing and whatnot. And it's not that crazy different from the background vibes from the audiobooks, which we'll talk about. So I don't mind, but I think they'll work the music in. I think overall the music was a strength of the films.
Yeah.
The castle, as I've said from the beginning, I want a different vibe. Don't want it to be copycat. Just keep it consistent. I don't care if it looks wrong. It's fine.
The movie castle is not really at all how I imagine the castle, which is fine in some ways, but like just looking at different interpretations of drawings and stuff of what Hogwarts could be and just a little more like magical. But I get that it needs to kind of look like a regular castle, but Muggles really don't see it. They just see ruins. So it can kind of be whatever it wants, or just having a little more hint of like that magic being there. I don't know.
You have some more of those turrets that look like they should be falling down at that angle, but they're held up by magic, so it's fine. But there's a lot of cool. I think with the music though, there's a lot of ways to like take classic themes, like even Hedwig's theme, and just change it or add something to it so that it's familiar, but to be embellished or more ethereal, whatever kind of mood they want to go for. So I think it could be cool, but there's some things they want to keep the same. I had a really weird thought this morning because I got the Hogwarts Battle game. You guys played that one? And I got a while ago and my kids played it, which was awesome that they wanted to play it, but then they lost a lot of the parts. And so I've been finding them around the house. And today I found a card and I went to put it back in the box. And like the box is really cool. When you open it, it looks like it's the inside of a trunk, so it's like got some binoculars or whatever. And there's a Bertie Bott's Every Flavor Beans, like, a picture of a container in there, like it's in your trunk. And for some reason, that just hit me. It's like, are they going to change the Bertie Bott's Every Flavor Beans like packaging in the new show? Is that going to?
I hope so.
Theme park's going to have to follow suit. Are they going to have to? You know what I mean? Like, but then all the games and stuff, everything pre 2025 is going to be like wrong and outdated, and they're going to have to go and I don't know, retcon. I don't know. That part just feels kind of weird.
How much are the theme parks going to follow? Because the theme parks are movie based. The actors are at on the rides, like you see them. So I don't know if they're just going to stick to that and hold that down, or maybe they'll do both. So then people have to collect both.
Yeah.
So
they'll get
Universal
Studios, right? Islands of Adventure has like the old school Marvel like cartoon comic land, and then there's Marvel as we know it today, right? And so they just kind of honor that version of it partially because of licensing, and they want to stick it to Disney, but also because it's something different. So, but I do think for that reason, though, I think with the all the IP and the merch and stuff, that's why I think it's going to be like similar, but like tweaked. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be the same castle, but I think inside they might dress it up differently or something so that it feels fresh or new or has a different tone to it. But it's it's going to happen. Bertie Bott's Every Flavor Beans. No company keeps the exact same packaging forever anyway. So maybe
they've evolved their branding. It depends how popular this is. I think they will weave it in. And if it's an explosively popular thing, then they could transition some things. They're obviously not going to rebuild the castle in the parks. They could literally replace the actors in the show. I doubt that they'll go that far. I think maybe they start adding this music in to the parks. I think Star Wars has done a really good job of keeping its original big themes involved while having different composers and doing it, so they could do that with the music. But I think generally, it just mixes in and you get some of the old and some of the new. I think people are just like, we have 7 Spider-Men, okay? I think we're ready. We're ready for this. 2 versions of everything.
It's so, again, I just saw a thing
Harry
where
Potter metaverse.
Someone was posting about it and then someone commented, why are they messing with perfection? And I'm like, F off. It is not I get the nostalgia. That's a part of people's childhood. The movies are very nostalgic. But if you have read the books and you are saying those movies are perfection, you got to stop. You're driving me nuts.
Crazy.
Like there's so much there's so much less magic. It's just, there's so much less character development that of course you can't do in a movie all the time when you're adapting. It's like, it's totally understandable. It is what it is, but it's going to feel completely different, even just doing all they are. But I do think they'll mix things in. It's just interesting. It's just such huge IP. Like Spider-Man's obviously huge, but it's not like there's a Spider-Man park based off of Tobey Maguire and then they had to decide what to do with whatever. Like,
Jimmy, they built New
interesting.
York to look like it looks in the
Oh,
Spider-Man.
that's why New York looks the way it does. Who
I have
knew?
2 quick ones to run by you guys. One, have you gotten your tickets for Cursed Child?
Yes, I spent
No,
insane
I
money.
need to pull that trigger and do it
Not
because
insane.
we're gonna go. They have not been selling out as fast here as they were in Denver, though. So I keep checking and they're still there, but
They're
I'm
not
gonna do
sold
it. I'm gonna
out,
do it
but
this week.
the good tickets are sold out.
Okay.
And they were going, and I
I
will
can't
say
afford those anyway. So.
it was reasonably priced, and I like this is what we would pay for like an average show. It's just that I paid this much for something that I might hate, but I
There's
gotta
a
do
good
it.
chance. I did wait until I could see it for an affordable price, and I went by myself
have
the
the
first time I saw
opportunity.
it. That's you could
It's
come
here
visit
3
me.
weeks. I gotta go
anytime.
3 weeks. Yeah, just
I
fly
have
to
I asked
London.
my two kids who are Potterheads, right, if they wanted to go. I want to make sure that they'd be into it before we went. But I also sat them down like, listen, you need to understand that this is not canon. Okay, I don't want you coming out of here thinking that this is real. Okay, this is BS.
I would.
But it's supposed to be.
You
cool
should be like,
experience.
how the movies and the books are different, and the books are better. This is worse. It's the third tiers.
Well, my kids haven't been to like a major, like my kids have been to like the Rudolph
Mine
play.
haven't.
Like they've never been to a
They haven't been
like
Mary Poppins or Wicked yet or something. I'm sure.
no, they haven't been. Wicked came here last year, and I just thought they were their attention spans just weren't good enough. So I'm like, I really do not want this to be their first like major Broadway.
What was that one we saw with the kids in London? It was like a shorter
It was
version
the
of like,
Horrible
history.
Histories Terrible Tutors. And Horrible Histories is like a comedy troupe. They have a TV show, and then they do a bunch of live ones. And so I like seeing all the like they do it in a regular theater where at night it's a normal one, and during the day they'll put on a kids show. And I know Seth is probably still even 2 years away from any of that, but I'm like, I'm excited to be able to bring him to all the little kids stuff they do in London.
We've done the little kids play in the Denver Performing Arts Center. There we go. And I also feel like if we were in London and I took my kids to see Cursed Child, I would feel less precious about it. Here it's like an ordeal. And like I know like obviously there's theater etiquette and that's what I'm very conscious of that. But I feel like when I've gone to plays in London, it's more casual feeling to me than when I go in Denver. Like it's like, you're going out, you better be quiet. Like, and of course you can be quiet. You want to be quiet and let everyone hear and stuff. But like, if you get up and go to the bathroom or leave the theater, it does not feel as big of a deal. Like here, you feel judged. So to have like kids that might
it's
need
quite
to go potty.
a talking point here that people are too casual. But I'm like, look, if you're a tourist and you're out for the day and you go to the half price ticket booth at 5 p.m. to get it, like you should go. Like I want people to shut their mouths and their phones. Yeah, but otherwise, it's not a huge night out. It can be. Some people treat it like a big thing, but when you're filling every theater every night, it kind of makes sense that they're not.
Well, like we went the night after we went to the Harry Potter studio tour. Remember, Michelle? And I had a huge bag of all the stuff I bought.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I can't go to the theater. And you're like, you totally can here. Like that would not fly in Denver. They'd be like, you need to go check that or whatever.
And a lot of them don't have code or bag check. The only thing is luggage. You cannot bring like a full luggage in there. And some of those seats, man, are tiny. You don't want to bring your shopping in.
Sure?
I'm on Reddit. Okay. I have one more last thing and then we'll talk about the audiobook because we've gone on. But so I have a friend who I never thought would like Harry Potter. Not dislike Harry Potter, but never thought that she'd care to engage with Harry Potter. And this is a different one from the one I talked about a couple weeks ago. And she's dating my former flatmate, Sam. And apparently he likes the films more than I knew. He's considers himself a Harry Potter fan. But she's read she's watched. This is where we're going. The first 2 or 3, and she's obsessed. She thinks it's great. It's fantastic. And so she called Hannah, and we we're kind of talking through her journey. And she was like, so Sam has seen these movies many times. He's not an expert. And this is the second friend I've had to be like, look, if you're not going to engage with the books, I'm glad you're engaging with the story in some way. But she goes, yeah, so I have all these theories about the Chamber of Secrets and stuff, and some were wrong and some were more right. And it was so interesting to hear her perspective, like an adult seeing the story for the first time and wondering what's happening next, even though it's the movie version. And then she goes, yeah, well, she's like, I kind of get it because Sam told me that part of Voldemort is kind of like in Harry now, and there's these things. I was like, even Hannah and I our jaws dropped. We're like, that's literally the entire
the whole thing for you.
That's the story. That's the twist. Like he didn't explain Horcruxes or the prophecy, but I was like, yep.
Your Potter passion.
But that's what Julia did. So my daughter Julia, spoiled it for her brother Tommy, the end of book 6, when he was like halfway through book 5 or something. And it was like they got in a fight and she wanted to like really like punish him. So she spoiled the end.
That
And
sounds
he
like
acted like he
something
didn't
I would
care.
do.
But I cared. Yeah, Jamie would have done that. And so he acted like he didn't care. I think he did. But like I cared. I was like, what is wrong with you? Like I almost grounded her for it. But I was like, hey, maybe this is a bit severe for
I think I've
the
said
book.
this before on here. I accidentally spoiled the ending of Breaking Bad for someone, and I feel bad. Also, Breaking Bad, Vince Gilligan has a new show on Apple that I want to watch, but haven't had time yet. Don't know if I will. But
I know I need to watch it. I keep thinking about canceling Apple, and then like there's something I'm like, oh, I gotta still watch that, and I still.
It's like they space out the releases
Just
so that it's like, crap, I'm going to keep it for one more month so I can watch that.
I'm gonna
And then
keep
they
raising the
fucking-
price.
Anyway, I thought it was just hilarious that she was doing us theorizing, and don't get me wrong, there's so much more detail to it. But I was like, he literally told you maybe the most important thing. And I don't remember how exactly she phrased it, because it wasn't just they have a connection. Like she kind of said essentially what the whole point of the story is. So anyway, terrible job, Sam. He'll never listen to this, but Kira might. She said, she's like, maybe I'll
May
listen to
he
your
burn in
podcast.
hell for that.
Well, we would spoil if she listens to this. Everything's spoiled for her anyway.
He should be
Oh,
grounded.
well, she'll wait until she's watched all the films. And, you know, she's a teacher. She's got a big break coming up. So, you know,
But I
probably
think
will
that's
be
the
done.
difference when you're a movie fan. That stuff is less precious. Like you don't,
Yeah.
it isn't as big of a reveal. I feel like I don't feel like
No.
it's as stunning in the movies as in the book. You've literally in this character's head for years and years and years, and you don't realize. And maybe as adults we would have put that together. Don't get me wrong, but there's something to
And it makes less sense. Okay, I have one more random thought is
there's
that
these things.
I want Ron to be a little bit more competent, a little bit less like the dunderhead, even though I think Rupert Grint did a great job. Like, I think he can still be that friend while also being kind of like, he has the experience of being based in the wizarding world. Also, I like the idea of him being lanky, like Ron being called the tall, lanky friend, like in Ferris Bueller or like in The Wonder Years. Anyway, and this twins should be short and stocky, and I don't think that's going to happen. And that's just something that randomly bothered me as we're reading book 2 and listening to book 1. Let's get into listening to book 1. Jamie, you've listened to many graphic audiobooks. And
Not
now
many,
that I'm
but I've listened to some.
now that I'm hearing all the background sounds and the random grunts and the from the characters and stuff, I don't know how you listen to Fourth Wing, because I would have just felt inappropriate the whole time, because you just hear dragons moaning in the background.
So Fourth Wing only I don't think the third is out as a graphic audio, and I honestly don't know if I will do the third, where I feel like there is more dragon loving in the third. But I could be wrong about that. Maybe it's a second. Anyway.
There's only one significant
I know next to
dragon-loving
nothing
moment I
about
remember.
these
But there's
But
a lot
now
of
I'm-
human-loving,
There's-
and the
there's
dragons
not-
are
actually,
in
there's-
their minds.
There's actually not a lot of human loving. There's only a chapter or two each book. I
Okay.
will tell you the chapters, because I've told many people what chapters to skip if they do not want that.
So you're going to
But
say, I told many people what chapters to go to if that's all they want.
I'm like, just listen to this chapter. It's all you need. I'm gonna not
Sounds
continue. 'cause-
traumatizing. There's dragons doing it in these books.
Ish.
and their minds are
You don't directly
intertwined
see it.
with the dragons. Spoiler
Their
alert.
minds
And
are
so,
intertwined with the dragon, so the humans like, oh, I gotta cut off this connection right now.
and when the
because-
dragons are in
Yeah.
heat, the humans are like, oh,
They're
okay.
also in heat. Okay, mom and dad.
Like that female dragon is looking.
Oh, Jimmy, you might have to edit.
ugly.
Don't edit the whole thing out. Just tame it down. I
I'll
don't
tame
need
it
mom.
down.
I'm going to see mom in 2 days. I don't need her to hit me.
I'm gonna remind her what we're really like. Anyway, so there's things. My first experience with graphic audio, I was like, this is too much. People's feet and stuff. I will say these feel toned down to me from the graphic audio, which is like its own company that does audiobooks like this. I think this is just Audible, so it's a little bit different. Their whole thing is it's a movie in your head. And I'm like, I don't need to hear every grunt. I don't need to hear every footstep, but I do like the atmosphere of this. We've only listened to one book, a little bit better. I don't think it's too bad, but there are moments, the grunting, and so when Hagrid's telling Harry the story of his parents, like that was like my very first, like, oh, it's because Harry's like, and I'm like, I don't think Harry's doing that in that moment. He's having internally he is, but on the outside, he's not like breaking down
Grunting.
necessarily, like grunting.
Yeah.
Like that's too much. I don't know why we're doing that. And it
Well,
takes
there's
you out of it
certain
a little bit.
scenes where people go like someone's talking and like there's no dialogue or anything in the book to indicate that the other person is like agreeing with them
Yeah.
or anything. But there are parts where you can hear them going, or like,
Yes.
and I'm like, wait a second. I never assumed that would be like, they'd be on board with that or whatever.
But
it was.
the thing about
Sometimes
that is
it works,
the
but it's like-
director's the director's interpretation. So you have to like go along with it. And to me, it's not as bad in this book as other books I've listened to like this. So I will give it that. But I do, yeah, there are things, but there's also moments where that makes it more like it's more because you hear like the zoo sounds. And this is my first time with a narrator, and I love that. I actually got teary eyed hearing her like do some of the narration because it just reminds me back of like when I first read and things like that. So I do love, I think Kush Jumbo, I think she does an amazing job. And I really do. I actually think this is less dramatically done than the movies. And I prefer that. The acting.
There's this like kind of response sometimes. And I'm like, chill, dude. It's okay.
In the movies,
And
it's like that.
yeah, that's the movies. And so this is toned down in that sense for sure. I really liked it though. Like there were parts like the part where Harry and Vernon and Dudley are like fighting at the door for the mail that just came in. And you could hear all the scuffling and like banging, and it just makes it seem so much more real. And then it also just made me think about like how physical that all was. And then it talks about like Harry finishing his bacon before Dudley could flip the table over. And I'm like, oh, this crap just like happened. So it gave me like a new perspective on what it's like in their house. Apparently Vernon is that intimidating and possibly physical. And if the three of them are like brawling in front of the mail slot. But it was cool. It just made me think differently about that whole interaction. And there's obviously other places where that happened too. But that was the first one that I really noted that it really adds an element.
Yeah, I think overall I want it pulled back like 15 to 20%. There are moments when the music swells and it really fits with the emotion or the magic of the moment. Harry walking into Diagon Alley, they turn it up, but not too much. I think it's well done. Harry meeting Hagrid, there's quite a build up to Hagrid coming in. But yeah, the audible responses from characters, sometimes they make complete sense, or like Harry and the narrator will both like read the end of the shopping list or something. I'm only through the train chapter, the Journey to Platform 9 3/4 chapter, just for full transparency. But yeah, so there's just a little bit. And then there's times when I'm like, did they need music behind this? Or do they like were too much atmosphere, or like tone down the footsteps or the wind? But then there are some times when it really adds. I thought when Lee Jordan opens he's showing the kids the tarantula and you just hear that. And it puts you in that place. And I was listening on my way home today, which is like a bus and 3 different trains and quite a long walk. So it was like I was in these different environments and I had my headphones in, and it was really cool and sometimes felt very immersive, and nothing has like really thrown me about it, and no voice has really been jarring. Maybe we should head to some voices. First of all, Draco. So there's a handful of posh douchebag voices in the English accent. I'm not a linguist, an accent expert, but I live here, and there's a few of them, and I thought they could have made Draco much worse, but he's good.
Yeah.
No one stuck out as bad to me.
Yeah. I kind of like that no one's kind of like a stereotype. I feel like, so we talked about Mark Addy.
But Draco is a bad person. Sorry, go
on. But but not the stereotype of the voice. But we talked about Mark Addy kind of sounding like Robbie Coltrane. And it's like, I mean, we all love Robbie as Hagrid, so it works. But I really think there's a huge difference in his performance. And I'm not blaming anyone either which way. That's the way Robbie was directed, I'm sure. But even when he says, okay, how's it supposed to be? It's not you're a wizard, Harry, right? It's like Harry, you're a wizard, whatever. The way it's just like he just says it like it's not like this epic moment like in the movie. And I love that because it just felt more like how when I first read the book, because it just feels like more of Hagrid's character to do it that way. It felt less precious, like this is just what it is. And that's what Hagrid's trying to explain to you. But things like that where I felt performances feel a little more natural to me. And I was worried that it would be a little more over the top because it's like done like a theatrical play.
A few that felt a little bit more staged, especially at the beginning. Like,
and the kids a little bit. But
Ron and the twins, but then I really quickly got into I thought the twins had a few that were like, oh, that really sounds stage read. But then as they kind of kept chattering with Molly and themselves and they come in to talk to Ron, I thought really quickly I felt right into sync with what they were doing. I will say of the actors that I recognize, which are like Vernon, Petunia, Hagrid, Dumbledore, other than Dumbledore, who it was really good. Love you, Hugh Laurie. None of them was I like, ooh, I can hear that actor really like in just the right
Vernon
amount.
A little bit, but
later on, yeah. Early, he had a few lines where I was like, oh, I can't believe it's that guy. And then later you start to hear it a bit more. Yeah, was there anyone else? I don't know. Have you guys, I don't know how far you guys have gotten, but is there any other characters that have stuck out as good or bad or had a good, fun moment for you?
I haven't got to Voldemort yet, spoiler, but I'm excited for that part. I was, from the clips we had seen of Arabella as Hermione, I thought it would sound more over the top, but I was actually pleasantly surprised that it sounded a little more natural. And I think for all the kids, you think about these kids are standing in a booth by themselves acting this out. Like it's, I don't know. I don't know how old radio dramas were ever actually done, but there's a Frasier episode where they're all in a room doing it together. And I'm like, that's kind of how I imagine them doing this, even though I know that's not practical and they wouldn't really do it that way. But that's really hard for those kids. So I actually think they did really well. Harry's voice is not at all how I would imagine Harry's voice to be, but I liked it. And like,
Well, a few of the kids I thought was slightly older, and then I remembered they're doing the same voice for they're doing 3 different years of it. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, that the twins' voices are slightly deeper. But yeah, Harry's isn't. At the same time, I was like, oh, I kind of like how different it is, and it still sounds like an innocent kid. I'm wondering, like, if these voices will ever be part of my, I don't know, because I don't know how much I'm gonna re-listen to these. I don't think I'll never re-listen to them, but I think if I in the future want to listen to these again or listen with my kids, I think I'm gonna start with the Jim Dale version. So I was just like, will these be part of like the lexicon of Harry Potter in my mind?
Well, my daughter, when I first got it, the morning it came out, I pushed play on it and she listened to the first chapter. She's really into Potter right now because we're reading the books. She was really into it, but we haven't gone further than that because I'm like, oh no, she's not gonna like Jim Dale now. But I do feel like Harry already sounds like post-puberty when he technically really shouldn't be yet. What did you guys? So something interesting. A lot of people talk about Ron's character in the book and in the movies is so different. He's just kind of the comic relief / he's just like they're playing him as the opposite of Hermione, where he's a little bit like that in the books, but not as much. He's smart and he comes up with clever ideas and stuff like that. So it was interesting to hear Ron almost a little bit more mature, I would say. But I did feel like it was missing a little bit of that insecurity that is so good in the movies.
I don't mind that difference. I kind of like, ooh, let's experience it a little bit different way. Because he will have his broy moments, his moments where he like defers. I don't know. Let's see.
Well, somehow I got into my TikTok algorithm because I get a lot of TikToks about how Ron got screwed over in the movies. There's ones about how like a lot of his good lines where he like has ideas or like they give them to Hermione instead. And so he just kind of like seems that kind of like this dopey person who's just like hanging around Harry and doesn't actually contribute all that much, which is very different from what's in the books. So, I mean, I really liked him too. I don't know that I like saw a drastic difference, and again, because they're going off the book material. But I do think for the series, I really hope a lot more of that shines through in his competency, because there's that insecurity about, not being able to live up to his brothers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But he definitely comes into his own. And I feel like, there's later on in the series, especially, there's moments of insecurity, but he, generally speaking, comes to like accept that he's capable of doing things. And that never really comes through in the books or in the movies, I mean.
And there's a reason they do that in the movie too, because like when they get to the wizard chest, all of a sudden he's so confident, and that's so cool to see, like that character change. But obviously we have more time to see like more depth to the characters in the book, and that's what's happening here. So because it is such a different medium, I think this is different than what Jim Dale's audiobook is. But it's cool to have something so new and to hear the voices. And my favorite thing Stephen already mentioned is not having the rushed screaming dialogue. I cannot wait for 4. It's just like I feel like every adult in the movie is just racing to get through their dialogue because the way they're showing like the fact that they're panicked or hurried is by talking really fast and going. And I'm like, you don't necessarily need that, but there's more time to breathe here, and they're just reading directly from the book. So I'm excited to see what else is to come.
It is one more version.
I will say, I actually
go on.
I texted Jamie and Mitchell. I texted you guys about this, like, I don't know, it was 2 or 3 chapters in, I think. And I was like, I feel like I'm cheating on Jim Dale. Like, there's just this level of loyalty. Like, I've listened to books 1 and 2, the Stephen Fry versions, because I was just curious.
That's
and
cheating.
Like, it brings something to it. It's this, different element and different way of expressing some of the stuff, which I thought was interesting. But obviously, I stopped after that because just Jim Dale's so much better. And listening to this, I was like, this is actually really good. And I was like, I'm excited for the other books. And I was like, Stephen, how could you do this to Jim? Like, you're such a jerk. But I do think I'd go back and revisit those ones too.
I still can't believe they did not get them to each do a cameo. It just makes no sense.
Well, Jim Dale's 90 years old.
Yeah, Jim Dale's really
I don't know what he's
old.
up to. But you know what? All credit to Jim Dale. He is the king. I mean, Stephen Fry did great and people love him. But I mean, that's over 130 voices that he had to do. And yes, some of them change. Some of them sound the same. We know because we've listened to the book so many times. But I mean,
the fact that one guy can do it and it have so be so good and so effective compared to this, which has all this production behind it, and a full cast is kind of incredible. Chamber of Secrets, December 16th. So it's crazy how fast they're coming.
I know. It's nice though. Thank you. Thank you, someone.
Here's where I'm at. So my first 3 months of Audible were 99p. So after that, I think it's $7 or $8.99 a month. And I'm like, am I going to keep it?
Cheap.
But I feel like I have to, but I might pause it and then wait for the next promo.
Yeah, that's true. There'll probably be a Christmas promo or something.
Goblet of Fire and everything. Because
can you log into other people's, or because they're in the UK now?
It's tricky, but I can. I have. Yeah, using my Amazon accounts was a pain for a while. I tried to keep them. I was hoping they'd work, but no, I had to open a new Prime and a new Audible and like a new Kindle. So like my Kindle now has like a handful of books, whereas my old one, luckily I've read most of them, but it is a pain.
I'll just record it on a voice note and send you.
It's a long voice.
Some extra sounds too.
I'm sure there will be a
hear any, farts or anything. That's all Jamie.
All right. Did you guys have any final thoughts on the full cast audio edition of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Philosopher's Stones?
I think it's good. I think it takes a little bit of getting used to for anyone out there who like maybe tried it and then didn't hate it. Like, give it a chance. I think it's just, it's kind of going back to like the dramatic radio that used to be before television. So it's kind of a full circle moment. But it is cool. I think it's really cool to hear the different voices. It'd be nice if there was maybe an option to tune down the background sounds a little bit. But again, go try to listen to Fourth Wing. It's worse. So, and then come.
Well, there are some parts where like the background sound or even just like the other dialogue is so loud that you can't hear like responses from people. Like there's a couple of places where I'm like, I know that Draco's supposed to say something back right there, but you can't even really hear it.
Yeah.
So there's some sound mixing stuff. Now, one of the cool things with Audible is that they're actually they're able to make those edits and then like upload the newer version. So when people like listen to it later, or if we re-listen to it in the future, like that sound mix might be better after they've, got enough complaints.
I agree with that. There is some stuff like when Petunia at the beginning responds to Hagrid and she's doing her own speech, it gets louder, but she almost sounds like way off in the distance. And I'm like, oh, this is actual dialogue in the book. We should be able to hear it better.
Yeah.
Well, and I think
this is the main conversation right now.
Yeah.
Why does it sound like I'm on the other side of a
in the mountain?
Field?
And some of the responses are the ways that characters talk things like border on added lines. Like they border on like, oh, well, yes, they would have reacted.
Changes
but that
the meaning.
actually kind of changes it. No, generally, I will say even the stuff that kind of gets lost, I'm like, well, it does make sense within this model of the story, but I wonder if they'll get enough complaints that there will be some episodes or the next book comes out and it's just toned down. Like I said 15 to 20%, that's probably a lot, but 5 to 10? Come on.
I mean,
well, and I'm just interested. I'm interested to hear from people who watch the movies, didn't read the books, if this is their first time with like their first experience with the books and what they're going to
that would be very interesting.
But
was it not like that screaming, crying chick on TikTok? What was her name? Who did her first read of Harry Potter? And she was Kira.
You know what's funny? Her name is Kira. My friend who's watching the movies now, her name is Kira, and she's may get a different job where there'll be a big commute. And I was like, you could listen to the books, and she's like, maybe. So we'll see. But you've been spoiled already.
Your terrible ways of only watching the movies.
There are a few things, but just remember it's interpretation. And if you want to have your own interpretation, read the books.
Well, my favorite thing about it is that because like with the movies, and I mean as a TV series you can do, it's that thing where it's almost like they determine everything for you, right? Like exactly what the visuals are, exactly what the tone is. There's very little room left for imagination. And so that's part of what makes the book so cool, right? Is everyone experiences it their own way. And so this being, it adds extra, it adds more to it, but at the same time, it leaves room for you to still imagine, right? You get to fill in the gaps. It still gets to be like a personal experience. And so I really thought that was a cool way of, it's taking it to the next level from what, Jim Dale did, which is great. But it's not taking away or controlling the experience too much.
I think we're the people in the world who have done this most right. You should read them with your eyes. Then you can listen to one of the single narrators. Then you can listen to the full cast. And then you can watch the TV show. And then you can watch the movie.
And start at 11.
Pyramid. Yeah, like I did.
Do it that way. It'd be very
disappointed. I started at like 6. Yeah, I know you are going. But no, but then you're getting the fulfillment at each level, because as much as I like, my mind does drift no matter what I'm doing when I'm listening to something.
Well, and too, like, I've had to take on this perspective with my daughter, like the fact that she wants to watch the movies right after she read the books, which drives me nuts. But I think I said before, I was like, it is kind of cool to go teach her the experiences of like viewing media in different ways and seeing different interpretations of one source material. And so I'm just trying to embrace that, because this is like a very rare opportunity. Like, Harry Potter's just so huge that we are going to be able to see it in so many different ways, that you can kind of do it with this one thing where that's pretty rare. Like, you don't get a lot of that.
It's a good story for the ages, Well, there you go. We'll definitely keep talking about these as we finish the books and as more books come out, more things emerge. Like, it is going to be a very different experience when this is like the Triwizard Tournament and it's much longer books. So we're looking forward to that. But thanks for joining us here on HPTV. Again, please give us a follow at HPTVPod on all your socials, or email us at HPTVPodcast@gmail.com with any thoughts. And if you're watching this on the YouTube or the Spotify, give us a comment, give us a subscribe, 5 stars, all that good stuff. And join us next episode as we're going to be diving deep into the Sorting Hat, finding all the swords and all the other things that could be in there.
Mostly just swords, apparently.
Yeah, it's got to have something else in there, and we dive into that mystery only a little bit. But start pondering what else.
Maybe there's a rogue badger in there if you're a Hufflepuff.
Jamie, send us out.
Peace out, snitches.